Welcome to Rochambeau, the podcast about unique competitions, extraordinary events, and other amazing adventures. I'm Ted.
And I'm Kim. Happy to have you guys here.
Yeah, welcome back. I'm introducing a new segment today.
You are. Have we discussed this?
We have not.
Yay.
You love these surprises when I pull something out of my hat.
What you got in that hat?
This hat I'm calling From Extreme to Extinct.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Thank you. These are sports that are no longer with us.
Sure.
May they rest in peace. And for today, we're going to hop in the Wayback Machine and put on your imagination hat.
All right, got it.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're going back to 1935. Nope, we're going back to 1937. The year was 1937, and the race known as the roughest and toughest race in the world was about to go down. From the starting point on the Isle of Santa Catalina, the course ran 44 miles to the finish line at Hermosa Beach, California. The open ocean course was unpredictable and wild. Rogue waves came and went. Wakes from other boats were a constant danger, as were the speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. This was tough on the motorboats of the age, but this race wasn't about them. No, this race was about the riders on the boards tied to the boats. This race was the world-famous Aquaplane race. That's right, today, aquaplaning.
Aquaplaning.
Aquaplaning, Kim. I'm shocked you haven't heard of this extinct sport. Aquaplaning is a sport where you are tied to a boat on a piece of wood.
Okay. I'm picturing people at lakes right now, like being dragged by tubes,
right.
Which still happens.
Good. Yeah.
How similar?
Very similar in the way that it's tied to the boat.
Okay.
But this was way back in like the early 1900s, like 1908, 1909 was when it began.
Okay.
And there's a pretty great story about how it began. So there was a captain named J.L. Leroy. He was near Coronado Beach, out fishing and swimming with his buddies, and they're having a good time. Nice summer day in 1909.
I can picture him wearing a swimsuit that comes down to his ankles and has like a full strap
the suspenders?
on the top.
I wonder if they had those or if they had the really short one. They were swimming and it was a glorious day, and one of the young men did not want to come back into the boat. He's like, "You're going to have to drag me home." And the captain said, "Oh yeah? Okay." So they tied a rope to a lid of a fishing box, like the big wooden.
Wow.
I guess they have big wooden lids back then. Threw it to him and he rode it all the way home.
Oh my gosh.
That's the story.
That's fun.
I know. I don't know how true it is, but we'll go with it. Other stories say that in 1909 and 1910, people were tying toboggans, like the downhill toboggans you do in the wintertime, to the back of boats. Yeah, so boats were just getting to the point where they could pull. Like they were either, I think they started making a mid-sized boat, like there was big boats, and then there was little like canoe-y boats, with motors on them, and these were like a middle size of it, like pleasure craft.
Okay.
So they figured out some way to have fun behind them.
How could you not have fun with something called a pleasure craft?
It's right there in the name, people. Enjoy yourselves. So initially, the challenge was just to ride without falling off, right? And as you can imagine, eventually things evolved on the board itself. Like I think at first it was just a plank of board tied to a boat. But then they put a rope that you could hold on to while you're standing on the board, right? So at first it was just trying not to fall off. And then, of course, as people are more sort of evolving tricks, like doing handstands and riding with two people or riding with them on their shoulders and all that kind of stuff.
Where does water skiing fall into the history line of this? Has it been invented yet?
No, this was the precursor to water skiing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. But this was the impetus for water skiing.
Neat.
Yeah. This caught on pretty quickly around the United States, and I guess Sweden and Germany were also big too. The areas where big lakes, like upstate New York has a big lake culture. I guess California in the ocean, and I know like Minnesota in that area, which is where water skiing came from, they had a big thing there too. It got so big that by 1911 there was companies selling aquaplanes.
Oh wow!
Aquaplane company.
Mm-hmm.
By 1914 or so, a lot of publications like Harper's Weekly, which I think was early Harper's Bazaar, they were having articles on there. And by 1922, Coca-Cola had big display advertisement in store windows with people riding aquaplanes.
Neat.
So it was big to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It went all the way up until like the 40s and 50s. But as you said about water skiing, that came about in like 1922.
Okay.
There was a fellow named Fred Wallers who had made something called the aqua skis. Akwaskees. Maybe he wasn't strong at spelling, but that's okay. And if you put a aquaplane next to his invention, they're almost identical, except with aquaplane, there's one rope coming from the boat and one rope coming up to a handle that you hold on to, but it's one plank. His had one plank for each foot, but one rope from the boat to the two skis, and then one rope from each ski to the handle. So your feet were separate, and they were on separate skis, but they were still tied at the front.
Huh.
Yeah, as you might see in today, like kids skis, they use something similar to keep going.
Is it helpful?
Yeah, because it keeps the skis together. So when you're learning how to ski and you get up, your legs want to go wide apart.
I see.
So this keeps them together like that. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Although Fred wasn't the originator of water skiing, that was a fella named Ralph Samuelson, who was an adept aquaplaner.
Cool.
And he wanted to create something like snow skiing on the water. So that's, so he saw how that would happen from aquaplaning, and he started skiing. Yeah. So it was really big in the Adirondacks where I'm from. And that's where I learned about it, because about 7 years ago, a cousin of mine was rebuilding a house, and the previous owner was like a hoarder. So there's all sorts of crazy things in the house. Like part of the house was held up by bus frames.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And there was like engine parts everywhere. And one wall, he pulled up this weird board shaped thing with a rope on either side of it. And it said Sea King on it. And I looked at it, I'm like, we can ride that. You tie that to a boat. So we did.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we were like, are you going to ride it? I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to ride it.
And so give me dimensions.
Okay. It's about 2 feet wide by about 5 feet long. It can be a simple plank of wood. Yeah, I see you're doing the math.
Yeah, I'm just thinking 2 feet wide is not very wide.
Not very wide. Picture a door, a small door, like a little shorter and a little narrower than a door, like the door you're looking at right now. Possibly rounded at the end. Eventually, some eventually became curved at the front to give a little more lift. Some in that race I was talking about from in California, they started putting fins on the bottom. They started rounding it, trying different things to be more stable in the water, because that was a long race, 44 miles in the open ocean.
It's insane.
50 miles an hour. Yeah. People would fall and you go back and you pick them up, but you lost time that way. And yeah. People were straggling at the end, like falling off the board. It was like barely alive. Kim.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, so we found the one in the wall, hooked it up to a boat, hopped on and tried it. And it was a lot of fun. It was cool. It was simple. Like after water skiing all my life and wakeboarding and all that kind of stuff, it was like, oh, this is cool.
How different from a wakeboard?
Very different, because you're tied to the boat. That's the biggest thing. So after we found that one, the next day we're in like Lake George, another like lake community down there, which is a big lake history, right? A lot of water skiing started there and stuff like that. We found another one in a store, so I bought that. So we probably have the 2 remaining aquaplanes in the world. So we're pretty much the best at it right now.
Neat.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that anybody wants to compete. Are
there any active societies or anything online you found?
There's not a lot of information on it. I've asked in some vintage water ski groups about it, and nobody seems to know anything. And
really?
Yeah. I guess it just...
And you have 2 of them.
I have 2 of them, yeah. Cornered the market. Yeah, it was really popular in Adirondacks for a long while, even after water ski was invented. A lot of the newspapers in New York would talk about it, in Boston, and cosmopolitan pages were like, the Mrs. Virginia Gardner and Harriet Carter of New York are very adept at the sport. That's a direct quote.
Nice.
And it was also touted as one of the sports at these fancy resorts. Along with camping, cookouts, hiking, and mountain climbing, aquaplaning was one of the big draws. Yep, and somehow it just kind of got forgotten about. So while I was researching this episode, one of the people I found is a man named Tony Klarich.
Tell me about Tony.
Tony is a water skiing innovator and has been for over 30 years. I guess he's a professional water skier. He has lots of national world titles, and he's invented a whole bunch of tricks. He has ridden an aquaplane, and he's ridden about 75 other things behind a boat.
What?
Yeah.
75?
75 or so.
There are not 75 things to ride.
There are, and I'm going to list them all now.
Oh my gosh.
No. I'm going to give you some highlights on some of them, though. He's ridden like surfboard, double skis, slalom skis, single skis, backward skis, jump skis, no skis, snow skis, shoe skis, those are a little bit bigger than your foot, wood planks, just pieces of wood, tennis shoes. He's a barefooter, so he knows how to do that. A disc. There's these discs that used to be around. A picnic table, a disc with a ladder on it. A hydrofoil ski. That's hydrofoil, like lifts you up out of the water and you get a smoother ride. What else? He rides a kneeboard, a cooler, standing inside of an igloo cooler, riding that.
Hilarious.
Riding a tiny little kid's ski skimmer, the ones what we talked about. There's a picture of him riding a book.
What?
Yeah, he's riding on a book. So pretty much anything you can imagine, he has ridden it. There he is on the, what is that? An irrigation box top.
What a nutter.
Tony Klarich, an amazing athlete. So let me read you that advertisement from the Aquaplane company in Motorboating Magazine.
All right.
Which, if Motorboating Magazine was around today, it might be something different.
Please continue.
Okay. All right, here's the ad from 1911. The Aquaplane, a real joyride, see? The best new water sport has come into existence. So thrilling are the sensations produced by the Aquaplane that it will be found in use in connection with nearly every motorboat, launch, or yacht capable of 8 miles an hour or better. The Aquaplane gives birth to an exhilaration that is not far short of speed intoxication. Get an autoplane and learn what fun can be. The Aquaplane will last forever. The price is only $250. $250.
That's nothing. It lasts forever.
And they are not wrong.
Yeah, because
I still have 2 of them.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
I paid more than $250 for
I bet.
at least one of them.
Yeah. One of them was
a
free.
wall.
Yeah, totally. Good job.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed learning a little about the history of water sports and things behind the boat. Thank you to Cadillac Jones for all the music, the intro music, and all that good stuff. Keep an eye out for them. They may come to your town. If so, go check them out. Also, we have an events page, rochambeaupodcast.com/events.
Yep.
Check that out for all the latest things coming up. And if you have something, send it to us. We need to know about it.
Indeed. All right. Till next time, people.
Goodbye.